So I decided I would go to the pool nice and early. I looked outside and it was a bit grey. There was some clouds. There was no rain. It didn't seem like it was going to thunder or lightning, because the last place I wanted to be was in a swimming pool if there was going to be any lightning. I just didn't want to take the chance of just getting lit up like a Christmas tree and turned into a piece of charcoal. So got a pair of shorts on, a t-shirt, a pair of trainers, and headed to the pool. I took Kitty with me. She loved to be in the water. So we took with me. There was only one other person in the pool, and it was an old guy, one of the older neighbours. He waved over and he just did his breaststroke swimming. I got into the water, and Kitty, she jumped in, and I caught her, and she was swimming around a little bit. And the guy was amazed. He told me he'd never seen a cat swim before. He said, "Have you ever seen that? You know, I always thought cats were scared of water, you know, all this type of stuff." So he was absolutely amazed at it. And so I brought her over to him, and you know, he was stroking her and all that type of stuff, and he was just absolutely amazed by it. Spent about half an hour in the pool, dried the little kid off, and headed back. Andy was downstairs making coffee, and he just says, "I wanted just to make sure," he goes, "Cole, you're okay this morning?" And he goes, "What time are you heading?" I said, "I'm going to head about 10 o'clock. He goes, "Yeah, good time." You know what I mean? So that would be, I wouldn't be in traffic, and I wouldn't be hitting the traffic coming home. And he says, "No problem at all." He goes, "There's 2 more dive shops." He goes, "The name's escaping me in a minute." He said, "There's 2 more dive shops." He goes, "Could you pop in and see them?" "Yeah, no problem at all. No problem," you know. And that was it. I think back then there might have been 6 or 8 dive shops on the island, because Key Largo wasn't a big place. And he says, "If you could go just checking them as well." He goes, "I spoke to them this morning. They have a few orders for you." I said, "Yeah, no problem." He goes, "I know these people." He says, "I've done business with them before." He goes, "It's a few years." He says, but then now they're asking me if I'm still in business and can I supply new gear." "Yep, no problem at all." I says, "What type of gear they're looking for?" And Andy said Ziegel, and I'd never heard of them. So Ziegel, I said, "Yep, no problem at all." He gave me a couple of catalogues. I think he gave me about 4 catalogues, 6 catalogues. He says, "Give them to them, let them have a look through them." He says, "They might not order with you straight away." He says, "They might want to look through the catalogues." He goes, and then they'll call me and they'll place an order. No problem at all. He says, "So don't be expecting to collect any money." He says, "No problem." And yep, no problem at all. So started having a bit of a chat with Andy. It was the first time I'd seen Andy eat a bit of toast. He had a couple of slices of toast with some jelly or strawberry jam on it. And I said, "How are you feeling?" And he goes, "Oh, like a little bit better." He goes, "A bit hungry this morning," because I knew he wasn't eating. He gave the cat a little rub on the head, and he goes, "No, how's the cat?" I said, "Yeah, doing fine, mate, you know what I mean." I said, "You know, she knows that she's loved and she's happy and stuff, you know." And he said, "You took her to the pool?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "You fucking hell." He goes, "You're like Dr. Dolittle," you know. I just burst out laughing at that. And you know, he says, "Fair play." He says, "You know," he says, "I just don't have the patience," he goes, "you know, for animals, because I'm never here." And he says, "It would be, you know, cruel of me," he says, "to have, like, you know, a little cat or a dog." He says, "And I really do want one." He goes, he says, "But it'd be just very cruel of me," he says, because I wouldn't be able to give it 100% of attention." And I says, "I know what you mean," you know. And that was it. And that's why he never took Tom's cat. But he was happy knowing that she was still in the house. And so again, Andy disappeared upstairs. He told me he was going to go for a run, which was good. He says, "I need to go for a run." He goes, and I says, "You're getting very thin, Andy." He goes, "Yeah." He said, I think he'd lost 18 or 19 pounds or something over, I think it was nearly a month now since Tom had died, or 3 weeks or something like that. And he goes, "Yeah." He says, "I haven't really been eating." And I says, "No, mate, get some food down your neck." And that made him giggle, "Down your neck." And he says, you have some weird sayings, you know what I mean? I said, "Same as you with my airplane." And he just burst out laughing. So it was good to see him laugh, good to see him eat something. He went upstairs. A few minutes later, he came downstairs in a different t-shirt, a different pair of shorts, and a pair of running shoes, because in the house Andy just had bare feet. He looked like a fucking Sasquatch. He was that big and hairy. And it was good to see Andy get out. And he says, "I'll see you when you get back." And that was it. And yeah, had a shower, had something to eat, got Kitty ready, checked over the paperwork again, went out to my car, made sure that everything, just the 2 bags of stuff in the tanks, there was only 6 tanks, they were all loaded in and strapped down, and you know, check the fuel. I'd get fuel on the way, and then it was nearly time then to head to Key Largo. So got Kid in the car with me, got her own little cushion, strapped her into a little seat belt, made sure that the window was open for her. Didn't use the AC very much, I just like the windows to be open and get fresh air. While I was in the city, I kept the windows closed because of the fumes and all that type of stuff, and I would crank the AC up so the fresh air was on her, and she just loved the air blowing in the face. And once I got out of the city, turned the AC off. Once I got onto the highway, opened the windows, and there was a little sunroof in the car as well, which is kind of really weird back then. You didn't really see too many cars with sunroofs, but it was Japanese, but most had soft tops, so you could drop the top and you would cruise. But this one had a little sunroof in it. I didn't really realise that, to be honest, until I kind of looked up one day and I saw a little button and hit the button, and it wasn't automatic, it just opened and you pushed it back. So who knew? I'd been driving the car for a few weeks and didn't realise it had a little sunroof. So I didn't know if that had come in the car or it had been put in by the owner, not too sure. But anyway, so the drive down to Key Largo was just absolutely beautiful. There wasn't very much traffic, lots of traffic in the city, and then had to go, once I got onto the highway, it was just open road, nice open straight road, and it was a nice drive down. The passenger, little Kitty, she fell asleep after looking out the window for about 10 or 15 minutes. She settled down, and that was it. And I was alone with my own thoughts. I put the music on, and I was listening to a country and western station, and that was it. Off I went, and before I knew it, Key Largo popped up, and drove in, found Key Largo Dive Centre, and pulled in. And the first thing I did was I got out and I had a big glass of fresh orange juice, and I ordered a little saucer of milk for Kitty. And the girl was just absolutely lovely. She was a beautiful looking girl. She was from Hawaii, and I can't remember her name, and she looked almost oriental, but she was from Hawaii, and her parents had both been from Key Largo. Her mum was Hawaiian, of Hawaiian descent, and yeah, she was just mad about the little kitten, and she opened a can of tuna fish, and she was feeding the little kitten some tuna from the sandwiches that she had been making for customers. So it was all good in the hood. She asked me, politely, was I vacationing down there, and I says, no, I'm down here to, see the owner. Oh, he's not in, he's gone out, he'll not be until a little bit later on. I says, no problem, I'm here for a bit anyway, so I'm going to visit a couple of other dive shops. I'll obviously call back. And she goes, no, she goes, are you Colin? She goes, are you the guy that's coming for the scuba gear? Coming. And I goes, yeah. And she goes, oh yeah, he said he's sorry, he's got another meeting, and he didn't mean that, to be rude. And I said, no problem. And she goes, this is his order here, you know what I mean? And I checked it off, and I checked in the catalogue what he wanted, and so I did that at the bar when I was talking to the girl, and took the orders, and then I had a sandwich. I had a tuna fish sandwich, I think, with sweet corn and onions and other bits and pieces. And so I sat there for about 2 hours, going over the orders, making sure a triplicate, everything was done the way Andy liked it, and paid for the sandwich and the food, and then I left and I went to the 2 other dive shops, and gave the Seagull in. They had lists for me. One of them had just got open, I think it might have been Karen, not too sure, I knew it was a C or a K, and she handed me $5,000. She gave me $5,000 cash to place the order for Andy, and she'd not long come off the phone with him, and so she gave me 5,000 cash, asked me to count it out. I counted it out and took her order. Thanked her very much in shock, and moved on to the next dive shop. Again, went down there and I collected, I think it was just over $8,000 in cash, and I was totally blown away. They're giving like a stranger like me, on the word of Andy, all this money. But you know, I was in a bit of shock. Took the money, put it safely into my pocket. Sat and had a coffee with a guy called Tony, a real fucking big black guy, an absolute beast of a guy. He was a proper bodybuilder, this guy. He's also a paddy and a Naui scuba instructor, and we just sat talking. And he had spent time in the UK, he'd spent time in London, and he had spent time in Manchester. We got talking about Manchester because I grew up in Manchester. I grew up in a place called Hume, which was near a place called Moss Side, and I lived, you know, not far from Manchester United football ground at Old Trafford. And so he had went to college there, and him and I had a great chat. I got a picture beside him. He did a double bicep. I looked like a piece of straw standing beside this guy, and he was absolutely lovely. He gave me his phone number and told me to stay in touch. He says that he regularly was in Miami. I says, not a problem, buddy. I says, you can come and stay at the house, you know. And I says, Andy won't mind that. He was into shooting. The guy was ex-army. He was an ex-American army dude. Spent 10 years in the army, and brilliant. I says, you're gonna love my cousin David. You're gonna love, you know, my other friend Dick Davis. And I says, you'll love Andy because Andy's ex-military. He was a pilot in Vietnam, and this, you know, Tony guy was just absolutely really, really nice. So I spent about an hour talking to him. Took the orders, took the cash. Bid my farewell. Got Kitty, and we then headed home. We headed back up to Miami.